hide that up a little bit.
Yeah,
Is that
okay.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll wait a minute. Everybody's ready for the second half of winter, right?
Here we go.
Ready or not, it's here. Okay. Okay. Good morning. We are pleased to be joined this morning by Christine Hensley, Chair of Iowa Student Loan Board. She is also the retired Vice President of Community and Government Affairs for Bank of the West in Des Moines and a member of the Des Moines City Council. It's critical that students today pursue college or career training, but the soaring costs of higher education means that many are saddled with overwhelming debt. As I said in the Condition of the State speech, we've been working to ease this burden here in Iowa. Last year, the legislature agreed to provide our 3 state universities with the necessary resources to freeze tuition for the first time in 30 years. This year, I submitted a budget to once again freeze tuition for our Iowa students at the Regents institutions so they can continue the fight against escalating student debt. My budget this year also proposes boosting the Iowa tuition grant for students attending Iowa's private colleges and universities, and we're also targeting support for higher achievers entering the teaching profession and providing for rural health care. Encouraging students to earn a college degree or other post-secondary credential is essential, but so is managing the costs. Many efforts are underway to help Iowa students understand that while borrowing for college is a good investment, they should borrow no more money than is absolutely necessary. Iowa Student Loan, our state-based nonprofit student loan provider, has been intensely focused on addressing the high debt levels of our state's college students. This past year, Iowa Student Loan ramped up its efforts in 2 ways: creating a new online financial literacy tool and offering scholarships to Iowa high school seniors. And now I'm going to turn the podium over to Iowa Student Loan Board Chair Christine Hensley, who will tell us more about these new initiatives. Christine?
Thank you very much, Governor. Well, our staff at Iowa Student Loan Corporation has devoted a tremendous amount of time and research in developing ours to create several financial literacy resources that we want to unveil this morning. In 2011, you helped us launch a student loan game plan which teaches students how to borrow wisely for college. Today, I'm pleased to announce our new innovative financial literacy tool that helps students evaluate their return on college investment, or we refer to it as ROCKY. You always have to have an acronym. The ROCKY Reality Check allows students to compare various types of jobs, their associated starting salaries, and the future demand and probability that they will actually get a job. In addition, the ROCKY Reality Check features quizzes and provides tips for improving graduates' marketability in the workplace. Our goal behind ROCKY Reality Check was to pull together this important career information into a user-friendly online format. With a few single clicks of the mouse, students can easily explore various college majors and the jobs that they might yield, very similar to what you saw in the paper yesterday. We wanted to create a tool that would help students set realistic expectations and a guideline for how much they should borrow for college. We expect students to invest a great deal of time, money, and effort in college. It's only fair that we provide them with the information necessary to evaluate what they might get in return for that commitment. ROCKY Reality Check and all of our other educational tools are available at no charge to the general public at www.studentloan.org, and I'd encourage you all to go there and visit the site. To further help Iowans in their quest for a college education, we offered this year for the first time a scholarship program for high school seniors. The Iowa Financial Know-How Challenge Senior Scholarship achieves two primary goals. It educates students on how to borrow wisely for college and provides them with the resources that help reduce their need to borrow. This spring, we will award 20 Iowa high school seniors with scholarships worth $1,500. To qualify, the students must complete 3 online financial literacy modules, including our Rocky Reality Check and our other online tool, which is the Student Loan Game Plan. And to further educate this audience, we periodically send emails with helpful financial tips to the participating seniors and their listed parents. Our scholarship program's registration just closed this past Friday, January 31st, and I'm happy to say that we have 2,500 students, Iowa high school seniors, that are participating in the program. We look forward to announcing and recognizing the 20 scholarship winners in April. And now I'll turn things over to Lieutenant Governor Reynolds.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Chris, and thank you for joining us this morning. We certainly appreciate the Iowa Student Loans commitment to help students and their families make well-informed decisions about taking on college debt. I also want to express our appreciation for the many other efforts that are underway throughout Iowa to help boost financial literacy, and these efforts are having a positive impact. However, there are way too many to mention all of them, but I'll highlight just a few examples. As Governor Branstad noted in his Condition of the State address, that the University of Northern Iowa is requiring all of their students who are receiving loans to participate in a financial literacy program, and this effort has significantly reduced student debt. The University of Iowa offers a web-based course called Managing Your Money, and it shares different ways to prevent financial problems and that are often encountered by college students, including credit card abuse and excess borrowing. The Iowa State University provides one-to-one counseling for all students who are considering private loans. ISU is helping students understand the differences in interest rates and the benefits between federal and private loans. Since 2011, the Iowa College Student Aid Commission has provided online financial literacy platform at no cost to high schools. Today, that platform is available in 132 high schools, and by the end of this year, they are expected to be up and running in 200 high schools across the state of Iowa. Last year, the legislature gave the banking division $100,000 to leverage Iowa's bank expertise in providing financial literacy education to Iowans. One recipient of the funding, TS Banking Institute, will help banks throughout the state replicate its successful financial literacy education partnerships with school districts as well as colleges. Meanwhile, the Iowa Department of Education just launched a financial literacy advisory committee. The committee will provide recommendations to Director Buck on best practices and resources, again, to help students and help schools teach financial literacy. Iowa state academic standards require that schools teach financial literacy starting in kindergarten with concepts like understanding the difference between needs and wants, and it is up to the local school districts to decide what curriculum or program that they want to use. There is broad consensus in both the education and business communities that we can and we should build on present efforts for these critical life skills. With a sustained focus and coordination, we can make a positive difference in the lives of Iowa students and their financial literacy abilities. And this is good for them and it's good for our state. So with that, we would be happy to take questions.
Questions on this subject? Yes, sir.
So if you go to a student and say the job that you're going to go into is not going to pay very much, are you going to say probably should go into that? Or?
No, that's up to the students and their family to decide. But we think they should make an informed decision. And in making that decision, and sometimes people say, I'm going to go into that job anyway because I think it's more rewarding, it's the kind of career I want to do. But you need to realistically look at what is it going to pay and how much debt are you going to have, and so you want to be able to match up what your future income is going to be with the debt that you're going to incur. I can tell you back when I went to college, and my folks didn't really have the resources to pay for it, so I worked construction in the summer. I worked in the cafeteria during the school year, and I borrowed only as much as I needed. I also had a partial scholarship. So and I still didn't get my loans paid back till after I was governor. But it was worth it. It was worth it. I want to say also, I never missed a payment. And I'm proud to say they're all paid off.
Pay for this tools I get to site, and how much did it cost?
Okay, I'll look to staff to tell me how much it costs, but this is all done internally. We have an excellent group of staff that does the research and works closely with the Department of Ed and the Attorney General's office on putting these tools together. I'd look to the staff to tell us exactly how much it costs if we actually have.
McCullough is here.
Steve McCullough, who's the CEO of Iowa Student Loan, is here as well. No state dollars. Okay, so roughly $100,000.
And it launched today, or?
We've had it up and running, Rocky, on just on a very soft launch, and today's really the official day that it's launching off, and we're pleased to be able to make that announcement here. We started a couple of months ago. It was released to our board of directors back at the November board meeting where we saw it, and there were some critiques that were made to it as different groups were testing it.
I would say, just because it's called Rocky doesn't mean the launch was rocky. This is not Obamacare. And for those of you that may not be aware of this, Iowa Student Loan was created by executive order by Governor Robert D. Ray. And they're a nonprofit. The governor does appoint people that serve on the board, but they are a nonprofit, and they don't get any state tax dollars. They manage the money that is, borrowed through loans and through bonding to utilize and to manage to provide financial assistance to students.
You had mentioned some different reasons why this is necessary. Is there one that sticks out? Part of different things about school that stick out in your loans. Save amount because you get into a career with a job. Is there one that kind of sticks out more than?
Well, unfortunately, when students go to college, they have the ability to apply for a lot of loans, and many students want to live accustomed to what they lived when they left home. And if they were to live a little bit more frugal, they probably would borrow less money. So the student loan game plan, as well as Rocky, really sets the stage for them so that they can understand, okay, if I'm going to major and be a social studies teacher when I graduate, I need to realistically know how much money I should borrow so that I'm able to repay that money. And so this leads them through the different scenarios. The student loan game plan will even give them the ability to go back and say, you know what, I see that I'm not going to be able to make my loan payments if I'm a social studies teacher. I better revisit how much I'm going to borrow. And we have found over the last couple of years that we use the student loan game plan, that students have actually gone back and decreased the amount they're borrowing by an average of $2,000 after they've gone through that exercise.
Do you know how much debt Iowa students graduate?
Well, it varies, and it depends upon what you're going into. I can say from my experience at Des Moines University, we had students graduating with $160,000, $180,000 worth of debt. Now, these are doctors, but still, after they complete their medical education, they do a residency before they start making significant money. So that's a big debt load. And one of the things I'm proud to say that we did while I was at Des Moines University, we tripled financial aid, and we started more scholarships and programs like the Glanton Scholarship to help students, in that case minority students, be able to afford to go to Des Moines University. But and I can also say there's a lot of different organizations. The Lieutenant Governor and I launched several scholarships with our last inauguration, and I know my high school has a number of scholarships, as do a lot of other schools around the state. There are foundations that have scholarships, but the more we can try to educate young people, only borrow what you absolutely need, and try to look for scholarships and other financial aid so you don't have this debt hanging over your head, the better it's going to be for everybody. Obviously, freezing tuition for the second year in a row will also be a significant help for this.
Governor, you talked about you were going to college and how you had to pay for it.
It's a long time ago. My kids have told me that. Yeah.
Are there majors or career paths that you think young people should not be pursuing?
Well, Well, this is a country where people can choose. This is not like Europe where you're put in a track and that's what you got to do. This is America where people have freedom to make those kind of decisions. But we want them to make an informed, intelligent choice and to know what the what the likely earning capacity would be. Obviously, STEM fields like science, technology, engineering, and math, the Lieutenant Governor could probably tell you more about that, is an area that we see growing job opportunities and higher incomes.
Well, I think it just helps them recognize where the jobs are at too, and where the openings are going to be in the future, and majority of them are going to be in the STEM field. So with programs like this and the STEM initiative and bringing business and industry into the classrooms and schools into the business and industry, it really helps students. It's just another tool that we can give them to make an informed decision about where the jobs are at, what jobs are going to be available in Iowa, what it's going to take to be able to secure that job.
Reading here, it says that high school had until January 31st to register for scholarship. Scholarship's over now, or is it coming down?
What'll happen is they had until January 31st to actually register online. Then they've got to go through and complete the Rocky program as well as the student game plan. And then there's also an assessment that will be used to evaluate who the actual winners are. And we'll announce that they've got until February 21st. And then we'll make the announcement of the scholarship winners first part of April.
Okay, but only those people who read about
Right.
it today.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
too late for them.
That's correct.
You mentioned that this second straight year you pushed the tuition freeze in light of the debt load students carry these days. Are you going to have to continue this or next year or year after?
Well, I think it's premature to know, and obviously it's a delicate balance, but we're proud of the fact that because of the way, and the regions are also, I think, embarking on an efficiency study to look at other things they can do on the college campuses to better utilize the resources they have. And I would also say, just as we did at Des Moines University, the colleges and universities need to be raising money for scholarships and financial aid for students as well. Both our private and public institutions are doing a lot of that these days. That's one of the jobs of being president of one of those institutions. Today, a lot of it is going out and raising private dollars to help support not only the programs, but also to support the students and providing scholarships and financial aid. That's important.
Is there a job sector that needs jobs right now?
Well, STEM, as we talked about, science, technology, engineering, and math is where a lot of growth is, and these are higher paying jobs. We're excited about that. We also, one of the reasons why we focused on apprenticeship is we see significant jobs in construction and manufacturing. And so I think there's some great job opportunities. The big concern is lining up people with the right skills. That's where I skilled Iowa and our home base Iowa to try to line up people coming out of the military with great job opportunities here in Iowa.
Did both your kids take out, your children take out student loans?
Well, my wife went back to school and graduated from DMAC and worked to, and so my kids did not have to borrow money. I would also say the other thing I'm doing for my grandchildren is a 529 college savings plan. And that's a great program administered by the Treasurer's Office. And there's a tax deduction for money you put in the 529 college savings, and it earns money both federal and state tax exempt. So that's another thing that parents and grandparents can do to help with their children and grandchildren's education is 529 college savings. So those are good things. I'm one that doesn't like debt, and so I've certainly tried to discourage my children from getting into debt. There are times when you buy a house or something like that, maybe it's appropriate to take out a mortgage, but it's also important to have a good credit rating because you'll get lower interest rates. And so there's a lot of financial literacy that needs to be taught.
Governor, on a different topic, the Republican Party of Iowa came out last week and is advocating against the fuel tax increase. I'm wondering if you join the party in doing that, or what do you know?
Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. There are some people that I think feel very strongly about that issue. As you know, I have a very focused agenda that we presented to the General Assembly. I've indicated a willingness to work with the legislature recognizing there is going to be a need for additional resources and road use tax fund in the future. And Paul Tribino has put a number of options together, which are alternatives to just raising the gas tax. So I think this is something that needs to continue to be discussed, and I respect everybody's viewpoint on this, and I know there are people with strong opinions in both parties and on both sides of the aisle.
Why this is the appropriate role for some lawmakers in the House saying this isn't the appropriate role for a state party?
Well, that's going to be up for the people that are delegates to the conventions to decide whether or not this is the direction that they want to see the party go. So I have a lot of trust in our political system, in the caucuses and in the conventions, and the fact that the people of Iowa that choose to be active in the Republican Party have the right to choose leadership.
Governor, why did you fire two of your top people in the DNR last?
I didn't fire anybody. So
what happened there? Why were they?
Well, first of all, I have great confidence in Chuck Gibb. He's the director of the Department of Natural Resources. And Chuck, as you know, former leader in the legislature, and then was deputy director, now director of the Department of Natural Resources. I think he's doing a real good job. And it's my understanding that this is a reorganization and a change that the agency thinks will better serve the needs of Iowans.
Now, many people are very critical of water pollution projects done by, or the lack of them done by the DNR. Is this signal any kind of lessening of commitment?
Actually, well, first of all, the truth is that we have dramatically ramped up our commitments to protecting the environment in this state, and we have extraordinary collaboration going on between the DNR, the Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, and Iowa State University. We just embarked on the nutrient reduction strategy. We provided, I think, $20-some million more resources last year. We also increased a couple $1 million more for that program for this coming year. So I think it shows a strong commitment. We've got a good leadership there. Chuck Gibb is somebody that has worked with everybody, and I have total confidence, and it's always been my position not to micromanage agencies and to have confidence in the department heads to put together the right team to meet the needs of their agency.
Governor, do you have a nominee yet?
For the Board of Regents, no.
Governor, there's the proposal from Senate Democrats to do something for LIHEAP, raising the committee today. Is that something?
Well, we just received additional federal dollars for LIHEAP. As you know, I have signed a number of executive orders, and we have been very focused on this LP crisis that's going on here in the entire upper Midwest. I've been in touch with in fact, we had a meeting right around this table with LP dealers last week. We had conference call with Midwestern governors and Governor Perry. I have talked to the Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Transportation. I've appealed to the President to do a disaster designation at the national level. But I think it's premature to know what additional resources, and the prices, as you may know, have fluctuated up and down dramatically in the last couple of weeks. The situation in states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Ohio is even worse than here. They've actually had people that have run out of fuel. We want to be very careful, and we want to, utilize this limited resource as effectively as possible. It's my understanding that actually because of fracking and the additional resources that have been found in North Dakota and Canada and elsewhere, that this is really a distribution problem. It's not a supply problem, and yet there are some issues involved with the distribution because we were seeing some of this shipped overseas, that is presently being looked into as well.
Governor, are you still standing behind Chris Christie? You're aware that one of the former top aides now saying that there's evidence that he did know about what was going on?
Well, this is an accusation that's been made by an individual who took the Fifth Amendment before the New Jersey legislature and who is trying to get the Port Authority to pay for his attorneys. I believe that Uh, there's no particular evidence. It's just an accusation that's been made, and so I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt and the just like anyone else, innocent until proven guilty.
This afternoon, Secretary of State Schultz is before our Senate committee regarding three voters in Sarasota County whose eligible votes were qualified in the election. The felons had the right to vote. You issued an executive order when you returned to office on this matter. Does that need to be revisited, the right to vote?
Well, I think the right to vote is a very important responsibility. And when somebody commits a dangerous crime like a felony, under the Iowa Constitution, they lose that right to vote. Only the governor can restore it. And my position has been that when you commit a crime of that magnitude, that you need to pay the penalty that has been given by the courts. In other words, pay the fine, the court costs, restitution if required, or at least be current on it. And then, if that's the case, I'm very willing, and we do expeditiously restore rights. But I don't think it should be automatically, where you send a signal that there's no consequences for not meeting your obligations, not paying your, and we do have literally millions of dollars of unpaid court costs and fines in this state. And the victims of crimes have the right, if the court has required restitution, to be paid restitution.
Is there confusion right now what felons need to do to have the right to vote in the meetings and issues?
I think there is a process of clarifying that. We want to make that as easy and simple as possible for someone. You did have that period of time where Governor Vilsack made it automatic. I think that was a big mistake, and I think it did create a lot of confusion. Some people think, but as you know, I rescinded that, and I promised the people of Iowa I'd do that when I ran for governor, and I did that the first day that I was in office. And we've tried to work and Larry Johnson oversees that on my staff, and we try to be very careful and very efficient in doing that. I would say you had some felons vote illegally, and you had some people that weren't felons that were denied the right to vote. We need to be very careful. We need to carefully scrutinize who is eligible to make sure we have clean and honest elections. We don't have people voting illegally, and we don't have people being denied the right to vote inappropriately as well.
Governor, we talked Friday about grooming Lieutenant Governor Reynolds and Governor when we leave. Are you saying that this is your final campaign? You're not going to run for?
I'm not saying that at all. I love what I'm doing. I just announced my intention to run for re-election, but I am focused on this job, and I'm proud to have a wonderful partner who is very talented, who's a very hard worker, who did a great job as county treasurer and as lieutenant and as state senator, and now as lieutenant governor is totally involved in the decision-making process. She participates in all of the interviews of judges and all of the decisions that we make and putting the budget together and everything else. So we are true partners, and I think we have a better partnership than almost anybody else in the whole country has, and I'm really proud of that fact. And by Constitution, she is the next in line to be governor. The lieutenant governor, in the event of the death, resignation, or disability, the governor becomes governor. I'm feeling good, and I'm intending to serve a long time. So I'm not ruling anything out.
No, and I can back that up, because I just challenge you to travel a week with him, and he will demonstrate his energy and compassion to serve this great state and to serve Iowans. So we're having fun. We're working hard. We've got a great agenda for this legislative session, and we're going to do everything we can to see that it gets passed. And then we're going to talk about re-election, and we're going to talk about moving this state forward. So that's what we're doing.
So are you going to be like Branstad? You're going to be standing here when you're 80 years old?
Hey, I'd love to be in the shape he's in at 80 years old. He ran a 10K on his 80th birthday. I respected and admire Chuck Grassley a lot. He was the chair of the Appropriations Committee when I came to the legislature. I was one of the people that he was a mentor to help us get the state's fiscal house in order. And so I certainly admire and respect him, but I'm not going to comment further on. I think it's Age is a state of mind.
Thank you, Governor. Maybe let's have-
Thank you.